amazing lunch. Please get what. Okay. Hey, everyone, welcome. We'll give folks a few minutes to sign on. And please get what you need. So this is lunchtime. If you need to get something to eat, you need water, you want to take this walking, do what you need. So please take care of yourself as we get settled in. You have a few moments. And I will actually, if you're also worried about time, this will be recorded. It's going Facebook Live on the working group page. So if you have to jump off or anything happens, don't worry, it'll be recorded. I'll write, I'll light us a little smudge here. Let's see if the video can catch it. Goodness.
Everyone that just hopped on, please take a minute to introduce yourselves in the comments, your hometown, your tribe, and where you work. Thank you.
All the smudge coming to you. Right. Thanks for the introductions in the chat. Yay from Nome, Minnesota. Awesome. GVAC. Cool. Thank you everyone for joining. We had about 40 people registered, so I'm just going to give a moment. Hey, Scotty. Always happy to see you. Hey, hey, Kyle. Thanks for joining us. Marcy. Yes. Lots of love to your cousin, Cassandra. Yeah. Clarissa. Yari. Hi. Sister Yari. Lorelai. Cool. Everyone's fired up. All the people taking actions. So glad to see you here. Thank you. Thank you. Heather, yes. We love folks at APIA. All right. Well, please feel free if you haven't shared your introduction in the chat. I will get us started just with our team's intros here on the call and give you an overview of this brief lunch and learn. And yeah, just appreciate everyone joining us. Feel free to keep using the chat there. But welcome everyone. Uvanga Charlene Apa Kanupaksis ka Akpik, Chinik Mugurunga, Suli Nachirvik Mugurunga, Savaktunga, Data for Indigenous Justice Me, Naga Evan Luklan. So my name is Charlene. My Nupak name is Akpik. It's a little salmonberry. My family is from Gullivan in White Mountain, Alaska, but I reside in Tekayakuk on Dena'ina lands. And I'm so happy to be here. I have a son who is 11 years old, and I'm the executive director at Data for Indigenous Justice. And our organization is a part of the MMIWG2S Alaska Working Group. Oh, my co-conspirator Kendra's on the call. And yeah, and we're so happy to do this webinar. I'm going to have my team members share their introductions and then I'll give an overview. Antonio, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Antonia Comac. My Inupiaq name is Unaksak. My family is from Shungnak, Alaska, which is in Northwest Alaska. I currently live in Wasilla, and I am the resource coordinator at Data for Indigenous Justice. I've been in this role for about 1 year, and prior to that, I was a fellow at DIJ for 1 year. I'm so happy that we're hosting this webinar today because a big part of my job is finding these resources, gathering them, and trying to spread them to the community. So I'm super excited. And throughout this webinar, you'll see me plugging some resources into the chat. I'm going to share a large list of those. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties trying to comment to the group, but we'll figure it out.
All right, Tatiana, do you want to introduce yourself and then Autumn?
Shishidash Iji Tatiana Tiknar Shlanchi Dina Thinga Dagatana Shlanchida Anchorage Gushaka Kalan Iri Shunta Katan Katnakluda. This is me, this is who I am. I'm Tatiana Ticknor. I'm Dina Thinga in Dagatan. And I was born and raised here in Anchorage, and I work for Data for Indigenous Justice as the program coordinator. Thank you guys for coming.
Hi, my name is Autumn Cantu. I am Koikan Athabascan, originally from Ruby, but I live here in Fairbanks. Super excited to be here with you guys today. I'm the communications director for the MMIP Working Group. And yeah, I will be helping facilitate in the background for today's webinar. I can pass it back to you, Akvik.
Sweet, thank you. And hello to Jenny, Shannon, and Tracy. Yes, I remember all of you. Thank you. Cool. Great. Happy to see everyone join, Morgan. So we have this really exciting webinar. One of the things that we are seeing in the community, and this work has always been driven by you all, by the families, by people wanting to take action. This is how it all started, right? And that's how we're able to keep doing this work is through you all having that inspiration. And even, right, to be honest, sometimes it's anger, right? There's a lot of injustice. There's a lot of systemic and historical things going on that means we arrive at this place where we see so much of this happening. And even with that surface emotion of anger, right, we know that if you unlayer that, this all comes from a deep love for our people, a deep love for our family members and our relatives. And so just thank you all. And I just wanted to ground us in the place of love. It is absolutely real to be angry too. It's absolutely real to be infuriated. And sometimes that's where we find that extra motivation and that push to take actions and to find out what we can do. And I just wanted to reground us though, and the ways that we come together is always deeply from a place of love and very much for you all and our families who have gone missing or murdered. And so thank you for showing up and being here. Thank you for wanting to take action. What we wanted to do on this call today was to first share resources. When we used to start this, like a lot of you were there in that moment where we came together and we put that first rally at AFN. We know that this began even further for many of the families a long time ago. But at the time, there were no resources, right? We didn't find what we were looking for when this all started. And so together we started creating them and putting hearts and minds together and pulling in our Indigenous organizations who do such good work. And so now there are some resources, and we first wanted to make sure you have access to those, and then share some of the narrative that we've been having in the dialogue with state agencies and different bodies, so that you all kind of know the existing asks that we have, and of course, like want to uplift the things that you all have been asking for as well. So yeah, welcome, Becca. So the first one that we wanted to share was the Alaska Native Women's Resource Center. They are part of the MMIWG2S Working Group. They have been doing such amazing work. And they made a toolkit with a lot of community input. They took years working on this, hearing from folks. And so there's an Alaska Native Women's Resource Center toolkit, and it is available online. We have it in our shared drive at Data for Indigenous Justice. We have a link where we put a lot of the reports, including ones that the federal government erased. I won't go off a tangent there, but we have a lot of available resources that are publicly available through our shared drive, a public shared drive. And this one is the Alaska Native Women's Resource Center Toolkit. And so this toolkit was designed for communities to be prepared on in case someone goes missing in their community. It becomes a lot of information, as some of you have experienced, and you have people from all different agencies. And oftentimes it's really difficult to know where to put everything. And so this toolkit is a really good one where you can list who you've been talking to. You can be prepared for some of the questions they might ask. And so we wanted to first share that and know that that toolkit was put on by the Alaska Native Women's Resource Center, and that it's still available. Yes, welcome, Nicole. And I just want to double check because I can't see it all while I'm talking. Are you having access to the chat, Antonia? You were able to drop things?
No, I can't, and I don't know why.
What? Okay. Let's troubleshoot that for a moment before I keep blabbing away.
I am updating the doc though, so if you want to just copy and paste that and drop whoever is able to comment to the group, because I can't.
Maybe it's one of the hosts. Can we test it from the hosts, please? Try to drop the link. Cool. There we go. Magic. All right. We got it figured out. So it's Autumn and Tatiana who are the hosts that can drop things. Maybe we can give Antonia host status too for a second if you can do that on the back end. Thank you.
That also didn't go to everyone. I'm so sorry, everybody, but we're having technical difficulties right now. They're only commenting to the hosts and panelists.
Ooh, how about this? How about, do you want to share screen, Antonia, while I do it instead? Like, can you pull up the link for the toolkit, for example, and just have your share screen?
Autumn was able to just drop it.
Okay. Let me just look. Yes, to everyone. Great. Sweet. I see that people can get it. Cool. So this one is the Alaska Native Women's Resource Center Toolkit. This is why we were read, and you'll see that throughout the toolkit, there's different actions even listed in there that you can do, such as contacting victims of crime services. You can hold a vigil, and it lists out a couple things there. It has fill in the blank things. So like there's designated individuals or there's notes. And so this is like a really awesome toolkit that is available for folks in your community to use. And then even at the very end, there's a bunch of resources listed as well. Cool. Thank you all for being patient as we get the resources to you. All right, the next one that we wanted to share is sometimes people have asked us for lists of names. So for example, people want to do a vigil in a community, or I've had legislators ask us for information or names so that they can do work related to this issue as well. And sometimes, depending on what the needs are for those names, sometimes we wanted people to know that you can also find them on the Department of Public Safety's website. So at DPS, usually their website is under maintenance, but they put out a quarterly report. And this was part of the passing of Senate Bill 151 was to put information into a federal database. And so while they were compiling information, they've also been putting out compiled reports. So it's the Department of Public Safety. They also get information for missing persons from APD, Fairbanks, Wasilla. And so there's a couple of municipal agencies who have also been putting their information for missing persons in a quarterly report that is published by the Department of Public Safety. And that actually includes a list of names. So if you need a quick figure, that's one option to look at. If you will have something more specific for your tribal organization, We have compiled lists for people based on their different needs and what you're using it for. But we wanted to share that was available through the Department of Public Safety as well. Their website is currently under maintenance, but once it's back up, we just wanted you to know that it's available. The other one that we wanted to share with you is the tip line. So we hear from a lot of families and cases and from the investigators. So Alaska, if this is new information for you, Alaska has for MMIP investigators. Again, that's for the troopers, which is different than police departments. However, they have a tribal liaison. Her name is Darlene Dye, and her email we're also going to drop in the chat. And there's a tip line available. So one of the things that happens that we hear a lot for some of the cases is that they are about to go into unresolved status or what's formerly known as cold cases. And that happens once all of the leads have been extinguished. And then it makes it very, very hard for the cases to get revisited unless there is new information. And so one of the things that we really, really wanted to share with you all is that there is a tip line available and there's an anonymous way to do that. And so some of these cases really need the public's help. We really need people being willing to speak up. And so there's the tip line that Autumn is dropping there and Antonia in the chat, so that you all can give tips. And so that is really important because otherwise these cases, they cannot pick them up without having something new or new information available. And so we have, in good partnership with the investigators and some of these cases, is the best thing we can do is get more information, and more leads so that they can follow them. So please share that. That's something that you can do if you're on social media, is to share the tip line in your circle and really ask that people use it. And so that we can get some of these cases revisited if there's more information.
Can I jump in really quickly to
Yes,
add on to
please.
that?
Yes.
So about those anonymous tip lines, I just really want everybody to know, in the public, when you use those anonymous tip lines, you don't have to speak to law enforcement. When you're submitting that tip, add as much information as you possibly can, anything that you know, and they will not contact you back unless you add your contact information in there. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Thank you. Sometimes I will say, this is important to share too, because sometimes people will send us tips and information, which I appreciate you reaching out to our org, and it's difficult for us to pass it on. And it also is better if you all have the direct information and you're most accurate, to be the one sharing that and then choosing to opt in or out, with sharing your information. The thing is then we see your information, then we know, and that's not anonymous, and we don't want to breach that. And so it's better to not have us be the middle people and to share that. And so we just wanted to get that information out there. If you all have cases that you are concerned about that you think may not be getting the attention they need, or you have information about them, we want to share Darlene Dye's contact information at the Department of Public Safety. She is a tribal liaison at the Alaska State Troopers, and she works closely with all four of the MMIP investigators. She's wonderful to work with. You can contact her, and they can help you navigate as well with some of the cases going on, so that they can let you know what's happening. But she's really great. She's come to various things, and so we wanted to share her contact information. All right. The other things we wanted to share with you all are actions that you can take, right? So sharing information is one way that everyone can take action, right? Getting people more knowledgeable, coming to webinars, sharing our information that's being put out. And then there's also the direct ways that you all can be involved with your representatives and things in your community. So for example, we have this webinar actually really came up and about because folks in Anchorage, Lorelei, Yari, the Savage family, the relatives of the Hunts, all of you all were taking actions. You were holding posters, you were contacting your representatives, you were asking really good questions. And all of that is things that we want everyone to be doing, right? So starting with the local ones, this webinar, it's for anyone in any community. But for Anchorage, for example, we encourage you to contact your assembly members with concerns about this issue at large, letting them know that this is an issue in the Anchorage community that we're aware of and that we need to start developing sustainable actions at the municipal level is important for you all to tell your assembly members because they represent your neighborhoods, right? Um, and to be honest, right, this actually, one of the things I think is useful too to share about the history and kind of like where we're at today is the mayor, Mayor LaFrance, when she was an assembly member and she was a part of the Women's Commission many years ago, and I was a community member without any organization, right? Is we actually came and we met with her and said, hey, there's this thing happening in Anchorage where it's a safety issue. We're worried as Native women. And we met with her and she took the time to meet with us as an assembly member. And one of the first things we did was to pass a resolution, and she worked with us immediately. So this news and what's happening is one, we know it's not new. You all know that. And our mayor here in Anchorage, at least, this is not new to her either. Like she has been a wonderful ally and a strong ally since day one, since the first meeting I ever had with her. That was probably in like 2017, right? And so I do encourage you all to keep reaching out to your assembly members. You can find their contacts here on the link that was dropped in the chat if you don't know who your representative is. And some of the asks that we've had, particularly for the municipality of Anchorage, is to fund a MMIP investigator, a specific one. Just like we have at the state level with the troopers, we need that specifically for Anchorage. One, because there's jurisdictional issues, right? So the current four MMIP investigators cannot just go pick up a case that happened in Anchorage and work on it, right? So that's something to be aware of. And so one of the asks for your assembly member or the chief of police and mayor, right, that moves up the line, is to fund an MMIP investigator, right? So then we have someone dedicated to these disproportionate amount of cases. That's something that's been a long time asked through many administrations. And I think that, again, the more that we hear from you, the more that people are able to do that, we will keep working on that in our advocacy as well as an organization and with our partners. Also, for families out there who might have cases, I also really encourage you to keep those cases, like be the squeaky wheel. Share that with them, like this is what's going on. Or you can also ask questions like, okay, this person has this knowledge. Did you document that? Is that a part of the report? Right? So there's specific things that you can ask about documentation for cases to ensure that those things are being recorded and that that case keeps moving along. So if you have specific concerns about cases as well, feel like I would include all of those in your correspondence with your representatives. Thanks, Jenny. Yeah. And then we also wanted to share, so that's at the municipal Anchorage level, for example, and some of the ways that you can contact your representatives and the asks that we have. The other thing to know is, again, like having a squeaky wheel and like being repetitive, it feels like sometimes, is that you do not have to wait 24 hours to report a missing persons case. We have gone over this many, many times. We've met with APD and numerous chiefs of police. We have read their policies. You do not have to wait 24 hours. If that becomes an issue where you're trying to report a missing persons case and they are telling you to wait, then I would go and tell your assembly member, or I would write and say, no, and like put it in documentation that that has been happening because we keep hearing that from families and you all on the ground. And so again, like when we met with Lorelei, and our organizations met with the mayor and the chief of police, we told them up front, we said, hey, we know that we don't have to wait 24 hours to report someone. And we keep hearing from families that they're being told they have to wait, right? So then when you all let us know, we're able to then move it up and then keep on them so that they are communicating that to the folks in their department. Sharon. Yeah, there could be. So Sharon asked online, is there a department or organization that helps with this? There is not specifically at the municipality of Anchorage, and that's one of the things you want to advocate for. That's one of the things you want to say you want, right? That's an action you can take is identify, hey, this is something we need, right? And so the more that the municipality and your representatives hear from you all, the more that we can advocate for that and be stronger with a collective voice, right? There are things like the ombudsman's office and things like that, but we really want a specific position that's dedicated to this at APD. And that's not to be Anchorage centric. Actually, one of the things I want to note, because you all are zooming in from different places, but for Anchorage, there's a lot of cases that come through by way of this being the city, people travel through, right? And so the reason we're asking for the specific Anchorage ask is because a lot of just the sheer number of cases that come through Anchorage. But I also encourage you, if you're in Nome, I know some of you are calling in from Nome or Kotzebue. These are all things you could be asking at your own municipal, local city governments as well, right? But just to reiterate, these are some of the things that are already in motion that as an organization, and that we've been working with other partners to also like say these are the things that we want. Thank you, Antonia. She put the policy that says that there's no waiting period in the chat. So if you're writing your representatives, you can cite, hey, we know that there's a no wait, and that DPS also put out messaging. And so again, like you can have that information to back up your asks and the actions you're taking. I know this is a lot of information. The other ones that we wanted to share with you is regarding the Department of Law. So the Department of Law has also a tribal liaison. Their name is Ann Bruno. Their job is to be a liaison between you all and us, the community, and the Department of Law. We have seen and we know, actually, a good shout out to Kyle Hopkins on the call. He wrote an EDN article that has pretty in-depth information about all the backlogs of cases and the backlog of prosecutions that have been happening in Alaska for decades, right? So we have seen this, that these cases go unresolved, that there's a backlog, that they don't move forward, etc. So on the bigger level, right, we've taken this work, we've advocated, we secured MMIP investigators, at least for DPS, through the passing of Senate Bill 151. So there will always be two in statute. If we have investigators constantly working on these cases and the goal is to move them forward, we don't want them to just get stuck in this backlog of prosecutions, right? And so one of the things that we've also been asking for that you all can ask for, that is an action you can take, is to ask what the timeline and the benchmarks are for the Department of Law to get back on track. Simple as that. Like what is the timeline and what are the benchmarks to make progress on this? Because it's absolutely unacceptable that we have a backlog of these prosecutions. I have asked that specific question twice publicly to the Department of Law, which they have told me they do not have a timeline or benchmarks to get back on track. So I would love if you all also contacted the Department of Law, and you can reach out to the tribal liaison whose job is to liaison ourselves and the Department of Law and Bruno and ask what is the timeline and the benchmarks to get back on track for these cases, especially when we have investigators working on them and hopefully moving them forward, right? So that's some of the information. Antonia dropped the article. If you're unfamiliar, you want more information on that ADN article is really great. And then you can also contact the Department of Law. She put the link there, and the tribal liaison's name is Ann Bruno. And that would be for all Alaska cases. Good question from Sharon in the chat.
I also just want to add that I'm sharing the Google Doc link and I'm updating it as we're talking. So I'm going to share that one more time for everybody.
Thank you. All right, so you all have actions if you want city ones with your assembly, right? And some of the asks to have MMIP investigators at that level. We talked about the Department of Law and having timelines and benchmarks to move forward on prosecutions. And then the next one that we get asked a lot of questions. Yeah, this is all, Yari, thank you so much. This is public information, right? This is like the power of like, this is why we want to do this. Get it out there. The more that these things are used, the more that they're going to be pushed to do their jobs and to be accountable, right? That's why we have tribal liaisons. That's why these resources, right? We had bills that funded DPS in these positions. Then we want to know like, okay, what are you all doing? Yes, please share the resources. And this is being recorded. So again, if you're like, oh, I forgot what that one part was, you can go back and we'll share that. And the recordings are all on DIJ's YouTube as well. But we'll share the recording with people who registered. The other one, the other questions we get a lot is for you all who might not be familiar. So in 2024, Senate Bill 151 passed with a lot of leadership from Kendra and our partners and the legislators. And that included some key things. I've mentioned it a little bit as woven throughout this, but I'll outline it very briefly here. So Senate Bill 151 in 2024 passed, and it secured the two positions of the MMIP investigators at the Department of Public Safety. It also mandated at a no cost ask to put missing persons cases into NamUs, which is a federal missing persons database, right? So thus far, there's not been like a huge centralized data system except for our organization. But beyond that, it's been limited. So one of the asks was to have them enter data into NamUs. The other one was to have cultural training for troopers in the Department of Public Safety. So since these things were implemented, one of the things that we get asked a lot is, hey, what are the updates? How many cases have been solved? How many people have been trained? And those are all really good questions that I would like you all to be asking the Department of Public Safety. And so they need to be responsible for the implementation of Senate Bill 151 and asking, hey, this has been funded for a few years now. Have there been any cases that have been solved? Right? This has been implemented. How many people have been trained? Right? These are things that our taxes go to, your taxes go to, and you have every right to be asking, what are the updates on this? Whether you are a family who has been impacted by this or not. Like these are all things that anyone could be asking and should be asking. If you care about this issue, ask questions. That's like half of this work is asking the right questions, right? Um, and so with that, you can reach out to your legislators, your representatives again, and be like, hey, I would like to know updates on this bill that passed from the Department of Public Safety. Can you be asking DPS what the updates are on the things that passed for the MMIP bill, right? And so if you haven't contacted your representatives, in the chat, we will drop how to find my Alaska State representative and let them know that you care about this issue, that you want updates and you want to know about implementation of the bill that passed here. All right, and I also want to, I see things going on in the chat, so I'm going to pause and make sure. Yes, thank you, Tracy, for being here and coming to the events. I'm always happy to see you. And yes, I think that again, if you feel comfortable, one of the things we are careful about, and you are directly here asking for help, we don't overstep and like we don't um, advocate for things without the family's leadership. That's really important that you all are the ones like letting us know what you like. And so you having this direct ask is really useful. If you want people to be asking questions, or if you think that there's more tips and information, like we can definitely, again, we encourage people to reach out and contact them. Yeah, thanks. Kendra is answering, as was Antonia. There's a vigil actually coming up as well on April 20th at noon in Anchorage, if you're still Anchorage based, that Victims for Justice is hosting, and our teams will be there, both the working group and DIJ. We invite you to come to that as well. Yeah. Thanks. Um, Let's see. So we shared the municipal ones, the Department of Law, and then also, let's see, did we get to sharing the how to contact my state rep yet? I'm looking in the chat. It's moving so fast. Cool. And then the vigil is also there. For folks online, was there a resource or something that I verbally said that you do not have the written link or the information about? Cool. Okay, so I see Hannah's questions as well. Let me see if Antonia can get the search and rescue information. If not, we'll follow up with you individually. So for the searches, if the cases are still active, there's resources available. A lot of them are run by volunteers, and they won't often do the search. Antonia actually might be able to describe this better.
Yeah, so to Hannah's comment, she's asking who would be the best group to follow for information on community foot searches. Um, those are family specific, but there are search and rescue groups in the state of Alaska, but they do not deploy their services or their dogs unless they are asked by law enforcement specifically, which has proven very difficult to do. Some of those groups are Matsar Canine. There's one in Anchorage. I can't think of the name of it, but in the email after this webinar, we'll get that information to you. But again, they are not deployed unless they are asked by law enforcement. So that is an advocacy ask that you can talk about and ask law enforcement to deploy these services sooner because that is a tool for them to use.
Yeah, and then Becca, thank you, Becca, shared about No, it's word of mouth. I have done, I have participated in searches that are family led and people make the flyers, which actually we have a flyer template that we can also share with you. So if someone goes missing, we have a flyer template. You can quickly fill in the information, give that report for missing persons. And oftentimes social media is used. And I know I've done foot searches in Anchorage that were coordinated by the family, and volunteers have, like myself, have shown up. And so those are, again, with if law enforcement doesn't deploy the resources of the search and rescue, I have seen families organize those and come together and had a lot of people show up and flyer. So and then there's the template for the missing persons as well. Yeah, thank you. Kendra also shared about the funds for reimbursement because I know in rural Alaska out there, of course, gas can be really costly too for doing that. Great questions. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I really love that everyone's pulling together to exchange information. This is really what this is about, is sharing information, getting it out there and utilizing the resources that we have, and then advocating for more, right? We know that we need more. We know that we need search and rescue. We know we need the investigators. So it's like piecing all these pieces together. But this collective voice that all of you bring really matters, and it really makes a difference when everyone is saying the same thing and always asking and having that consistency for the asks, so that it's community members, it's advocates, it's our orgs, it's you all, and synthesizing that narrative across is really powerful. So thank you everyone for learning and exchanging information. Cool. All right. Please keep sharing questions if you have them. I'm going to plug a few more things. Bear with me. All right, so we have also the MMIP Summit and Gala coming up at the end of May. So this, you know, we've had the data summit. Some of you have attended that with us in the past, where we came together for a few days to simply talk about data on these issues of MMIP and human trafficking. And we know that there's so much more to it, as we've discussed already here on this call. And we're really excited to co-host through the Alaska Working Group, which is with our partners. I just want to shout them out. CITC and the Alaska Native Women's Resource Center, Native Movement, Data for Indigenous Justice, and we have Autumn and Kendra, who volunteer their time very generously. And so this summit and gala is at the end of May, and we encourage you all, if you have organizations who would cover your costs to attend, there's a registration being dropped in the chat. If you are an MMIP family, which I know some of you are, we have in-kind tickets available to attend the summit, because this is really, all of this work is for you all. It's for our families that are being impacted. When I add the ASA, can you please reply again? Yeah, Scotty, we can follow up on that. But we have tickets in kind available for families like you all. And if you would like to fill out the form, it is dropped in the chat. And it is, the summit and gala is in Anchorage. I don't know if I said that specifically. It's in Anchorage. We unfortunately do not have travel costs, but if you are in Anchorage and would like in-kind tickets, please fill out the form that is in the chat. The summit and the gala will not be digitally broadcasted, unfortunately. Thank you, Yari. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Scotty, I'm so excited to hear that. We were hoping you'd be able to come. Yes, cool. So please share out the summit and the gala information. And also, if you all are family members or know other families, feel free to share that form so that they can have in-kind tickets. All right, Antonia, did we forget anything you wanted to share with folks? Like, whew.
Oh my
And you're
gosh,
doing
that
a
was
lot
a
more
lot
than
of
I thought. I
information really
know.
fast. I think you did a pretty good job covering most of it. The one thing that she didn't talk about was the resource booklet that the MMIWG2S Alaska Working Group has. If you click on this link that I just shared, it has everything that Akbek just talked about into one nice little pretty booklet. So please share that. And again, we're going to send this link with the doc with every single link that we talked about to you guys afterwards. So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. And I know that was a ton of information, but I hope that there was something that called to you to take action on, whether that was in Anchorage or with your state reps or with the Department of Law. If there's something you haven't done before, like I hope that this inspired you to take action. We hope to see you at the summit and the gala. And please reach out to us if you have more questions. We have Antonia as a resource coordinator. We'll be sharing and hearing a lot from some amazing speakers at the summit and gala. Um, and yeah, if you have any other questions, let us know. Tatiana will send you also a survey. So we try to put these on again to make sure people have everything they need to be self-determined and to take actions on this issue. We really love your feedback. You know, this came up again because you all wanted to take action. So hopefully this was a good response to you all and uplifting the things that you want to do in your community. But please fill out the survey. It really helps us a lot be able to do things like this and to put it together for you. But thank you all for joining on your lunches. Your time is precious. We appreciate you all, and we'll send out the materials to you. And again, this is recorded. So thank you, thank you. Stay well. Take good care. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take
And then when
care.
the webinar ends, it will automatically direct you to the post survey. So please do that. Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.